Well, hello there and welcome to today's video. In this one we're going to be following on from the top 10 PS1 games Upscaled to Insanity video, with the sequel to that video being this one, which is the top 10 PSP games Upscaled to Insanity. As you may know, the PSP was released in 2004 in Japan and 2005 in the US and Europe, and is held in very high regard even to this day, with a lifespan of over a decade and nearly 2,000 official titles released on the system. So in this video I'll be showcasing all of the top 10 PSP games in their original resolution of 480 by 272 first, and then the maximum possible fidelity settings in the PPSSPP emulator for PC in 4K to really make these games shine. I'll also show a small selection of my favourite awesome games that didn't make the IGN top 10 list. And with that being said, please subscribe and let me know if you'd like to see the top 10 GameCube games or top 10 PS2 games Upscaled to Insanity video next in the comments section down below. And feel free to request a full guide on how to play the PPSSPP emulator online by emulating the ad hoc Wi-Fi multiplayer of the PSP itself, which I've had tons of fun with. Gaming and emulators is a subject that I've been involved with for over 30 years and that I'm very passionate about, and this is a video series that I am going to continue with. I also have a popular emulation related Discord server which is real chill, and if you'd like to join then the link will be in the description down below. And with all that being said, let's get into the video. So first up on IGN's top 10 list, at place number 10 is Daxter, which released in 2006. If any of you ever played the Jak and Daxter series for PS2, then this character is going to be very familiar to you. Daxter is a 3D platformer with some interesting mechanics, which was well received on launch and graphically showed what the PSP was capable of, which is usually the case with a first party published title. And in this footage you can see that the small 4.3 inch PSP screen does not stretch very well to a larger screen. 480 by 272 is already a very low resolution, so let's see what this looks like when we run it in 4K. And as will be the trend in this video, you can see just how good this now looks. Everything is super sharp and you could easily pass this off for maybe even an early PS3 game. Seeing as this game has never released on any other platform, this is the only option to play it outside of the original PSP. But when the emulation is this stable and sharp, the PSP emulator is a great option for playing Daxter. And at number 9, what top 10 games list can ever be complete without a GTA title popping up somewhere in the list? GTA Liberty City Stories, which I'll refer to as LCS from this point onwards, was the second game I ever got for my original PSP way back in the day. Releasing in October 2005, this game absolutely blew me away. It is peak 3D era GTA. How this game fits the entire map of Liberty City from GTA 3 into the palm of the hand in 2005, less than a year after the release of San Andreas, is a question that still baffles me. The PSP titles are kind of hidden gems in the GTA series. You'd be very surprised how many people claim to be big GTA fans but have never played the PSP titles. And I have played this game to death. And it's time to take a look at this game in 4K. And instantly the difference is astonishing. While I know this game did re-release for the PS2, and the PSP only has one analog stick, which does hamper the control slightly, the PSP version does retain the full multiplayer mode for up to 6 players, which was removed for the PS2 release. Once again, let me know if you want the PSP Online multiplayer guide, as this game can be played online using this emulator. The fact is that the sheer simplicity of emulating this on PC makes this the go-to version for me, a truly fantastic GTA game regardless of being on PSP. So ignore the mobile port and get the PSP emulator for Android instead, and play it that way if you don't have a good PC or you want to play this game on the go. At number 8 then we have God of War Ghost of Sparta, releasing in 2010. Now for any classic God of War fans, this one will be for you. While this game does not push the series' core mechanics any further forward, it does take what made the original PS2 game so fun and refines the whole experience to be more suited to pick up and play. Graphically, this game is also a real showpiece of the PSP's graphical power. And here is some footage in 4K, and wow again. Now, you see how already good looking classic 3D games can really benefit from the rendering resolutions of modern emulators. Kratos is definitely looking sharp here, and while I'm not the biggest God of War fan, I can see why people love this gameplay formula. At number 7 then we have Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep from 2010, and because I never played too much of the Kingdom Hearts series, I'll read directly from the IGN article here. It took roughly 14 years before Kingdom Hearts fans got a proper numbered sequel to Kingdom Hearts 2. Despite that colossal gap, a slew of new Kingdom Hearts games debuted, including the only one to grace the PSP, Birth by Sleep. But even though it's the franchise's only inclusion on the handheld, it marks one of the best entries in the Kingdom Hearts series as well as on the PSP itself. Square Enix smartly adapted the controls and core gameplay mechanics of the series with a few new additions to take advantage of Sony's portable device. The soundtrack is among the best in the Kingdom Hearts series too, with writing and story to match, adding a surprising amount of depth and lore. Number or not, Birth by Sleep is an essential Kingdom Hearts and PSP experience. End quote. So with that, let's see this in 4K. As to be expected, this looks incredible, especially with that Disney pseudo Final Fantasy cartoonish visual style. And this game did get a HD re-release on PS3 and I assume subsequent PlayStation consoles too. So if you're looking for a solid entry in the Kingdom Hearts series, then this seems to be the one for you on the PPSSPP emulator. In 6th place then we have Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, with this being the prequel to one of the most beloved JRPGs of all time. Final Fantasy VII was actually the first RPG I ever played way back on the PS1. This game takes all the characters, fleshes out the stories, and has a deep and engaging real-time combat system. So let's max out the graphics and look at this in 4K. And it is very good indeed. I mean, I played this extensively when it first released and had a great time, but this version has now been superseded by the Crisis Core Reunion Remaster / Remake, which released at the tail end of 2022, rendering this PSP version obsolete. Hence why I'm not going to focus on this one too much. Very hard to sing the praises of a game on a specific platform when a far superior option is now available for all major platforms. And in 5th we have Lumines. What at first looks to be another Tetris clone is actually something far greater. The visuals in this game are of course fine and purely 2D, and in the PSP resolution footage still looks very good. However, it is the soundtrack and the addictive block-based puzzle solving that really makes this game great. And here it is in 4K then, and as you can immediately tell that even though it is sharper, it doesn't really benefit from the same amount of graphical boost as the other games in this list so far. And a quick funny story, way before I had hacked my original PSP, there was a firmware update that removed the ability to run homebrew apps, and it turned out that Lumines had a data overflow save game exploit to run all the homebrew apps. So I literally ran to the shop that day and bought it for that reason, but grew to really love this game, especially on the go. Once again, however, this game had a full remaster in 2018 and is available on all modern platforms, so that will now most likely be your best option. In 4th place then we have Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 Portable. Now this is also a game that I've not played a lot of, but I've heard many people talk about the Persona games in very high regard and how good they are. For this I will also quote the IGN article starting now. On a platform loaded with great RPGs, Persona 3 Portable is arguably the best. An updated version of the PS2 game that first popularised the series in the West. It features a band of Japanese high schoolers who attend class by day and investigate the mysterious Dark Hour by night. In the course of this 100-hour plus adventure, you make friends, join social clubs and try and find out what lies at the top of the Tartarus while rocking out to one of the best soundtracks in the series. With loads of quality of life improvements and a brand new storyline featuring a female protagonist, a first for the series, it's an amazing experience. End quote. And during that reading I changed to the 4K footage for comparison, and again this game has a modern remaster from January of 2023. While many of these games have a modern remaster, I think that stands as a testament to not only how good these games are, but how versatile of a platform the PSP was, especially for a handheld released in 2005. Next up in third is Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, and I have a lot of positive things to say about this one. I remember the old school days fondly of sitting round at my friend's house with 3 other friends all teaming up to take on the monsters in this game. The combat is extremely precise and the mechanics are tight. There's tons of customization options for armor, weapons and so much more. You can check which weapons and armor need what parts to upgrade from what monsters, so you and your friends get kitted up and join the gathering hall to attempt the next monster, taking turns on what monsters to beat according to what everybody needs. The difficulty ramps up on this really quick too. This is a hard game, so let me swap to some 4K footage here. You may be able to tell I've spent so much time playing this game, and yes, the multiplayer is supported on the PPSSPP emulator if you can find 1 to 3 others to join you on your quest. So join the Discord server in the description to try and find players if you're stuck. Yes, this game can be played single player, but where it shines is the multiplayer element and the graphics of course. Only ever getting a re-release on the PS Vita and for iOS, which is now delisted and unavailable, and I argue that this version on this emulator is the definitive way to play this mind-blowingly good game. Second place then is Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, and this is another game that I've not played too much, so I will lean on the IGN article again here, open quote. Some say that Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together deserves this spot on the list, but the original Final Fantasy Tactics is still one of the best grid-based RPGs of all time. Sporting a heartbreaking story, snappy menu-based combat and endless replayability, War of the Lions isn't just a port of the original game. The update for PSP includes a new translation, voice cutscenes, new jobs, new characters and all of the fantastic story in a handheld format. A game that can be fiddled with endlessly, Final Fantasy Tactics is the perfect fit for handheld gaming, as you can pause longer battles or spend hours grinding a single map to max out those job classes. In an RPG that can be unbalanced in the best way, Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions remains the gold standard for tactical RPGs and a standout even amongst its numbered entry peers. End quote. And that just about sums it up then, and as you can see the PSP emulator does a great job of sharpening everything up and enhancing the isometric mix of 3D landscapes and 2D sprites. And I maintain my statement from earlier that games with unique visual styles generally hold up better than games going for outright realism. And of course, standard for this series, before we get to number 1, we have 5 awesome honourable mentions that not only play well, but benefit massively from the PSP emulator's upscaling. And these are in no particular order. First up we have the PSP exclusive Ace Combat Joint Assault with an emphasis on the cooperative multiplayer aspect. This Ace Combat outing shines in both the gameplay and graphics department. I've had a great time playing this online with my good friend Canis. Shout out mate. Second up then we have the PSP exclusive Gran Turismo, and of course the Gran Turismo series has always been some of the most graphically polished games on the system that they release on. And while there are numerous Gran Turismo games which are now preferable to this one, this does serve as a powerhouse graphical demonstration of what the PSP is capable of. Third on the honourable mentions list then we have Tekken 6. If you take the tight controls you'd expect from a refined beat 'em up, include a load of fan favourite characters and give it the graphical polish on show here, and you have a winning formula and a rock solid entry into a long running fighter series. Fourthly, let's not forget Wipeout Pure. This was my first game that I ever got for the system on PSP's European launch day, and needless to say I was not disappointed. Ultra slick, ultra fast, anti-gravity racing which demands that you do not ever blink while playing. And once that speed ramps up in the later difficulties you'll be using your shoulder mounted air brakes on the regular. The first time a cloud rolled past and looked as good as it does in this handheld game was the day I knew that handheld gaming had gone next generation. And last but not least, for my 5th honourable mention pick is GTA Vice City Stories. Now I know we've already had a GTA entry in this video, but I can't let this one slip by unannounced. I've replayed this game countless times and this expands on numerous staple GTA mechanics. Of course you can expect all of the over-the-top neon thrills of a prequel to the sublime Vice City. I would even argue that this has the most fleshed out empire building mechanics of any 3D era GTA game. And like GTA Liberty City Stories, this also has a great set of multiplayer matches and options to get stuck into. So if you're a GTA fan and you never played this, then what are you waiting for? Ignore the dreadful Vice City Defective Edition and play this instead. You'll not be sorry. Vice City awaits. And the best game on the PSP according to IGN is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and I would have to agree. Make no mistake, this is a mainline entry into one of the most well-known, technically advanced, ambitious and critically lauded game series of all time. And Peace Walker is part of what is termed the Metal Gear Solid 5 trilogy, with Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes and Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain continuing directly from the stories of this game. Peace Walker also features its own full and expectedly convoluted story, base building, co-op multiplayer, 6-player competitive play, and a whole ton of the tactical espionage action that the series promises. There is just so much game here, like the stories series of the GTA games. If you're a Metal Gear fan and you've not experienced this game, I'd recommend this as your next game to play. Peace Walker also got a HD remaster on both the PS3 and Xbox 360, so those are two other good options, but for simplicity of use, access to emulated multiplayer and being able to upscale this to 4K makes the PSP emulator the best place to play this slightly obscure entry in the Metal Gear series. And with that we conclude our top 10 list, which became a top 15, but hey ho. Please remember to suggest which console to upscale to Insanity next, with the two main options I'm drawn to being the PS2 or GameCube, as both have a extensive and sublime game library. And whichever one gets the most suggestions in the comments is the one I will make next. Don't forget, if you love gaming, especially retro or emulated gaming, then please join my emulation Discord, which is rapidly approaching 800 members. I've met so many cool people in there. Other than that, hopefully I have inspired your next game choice. There was a great variety in this list and it's been a pleasure making this video. I hope you all have a great day and I hope to catch you all again very, very soon. All the best everybody, stay safe, bye bye.